A funeral service in honor of late Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa has been held in Ekpoma, Eastern West local government area of Edo State. The funeral service was the day 2 of the activities lined up to celebrate the late matriarch of the Adagbasa family. The report. Funeral service commenced with a colorful procession as the remains of late Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa was conveyed in a motorcade from Irua Specialist Teaching Hospital Irua to her hometown Idumebo Irekme for a brief stopover. Thereafter, the body was taken to Idumebo Ekpoma for social wake keep. Family members, relatives, as well as friends and well-wishers joined the procession as a way of paying their last respect to late Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa. Speaking after the procession, one of the daughters of late Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa, Barrister Mrs. Ivade, as well as Sir Lucky Esegbe and others, noted that Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa lived a gracious life, describing her as a loving woman who cares for everyone that came her way.
She has a name to everyone. As to us, our children, she's a loving mother. To the motherless, she's a kind and hearted woman, a God-fearing woman, a woman that takes care of everyone. She doesn't discriminate. And above all, she is somebody that is selfless.
She took me like her biological son. She treated my children like no other treatment that can be given to any other child. As fondly called, more than time he calls me, he called me with self-respect. He prays for us. He loved us so much that even till her death, she lived in my house for almost 8 years. So it's so painful that she had to leave us this time.
She was so loving, so caring. She likes as much as she can to satisfy people.
She was peaceful, loving, a wonderful in-law. We met in Lagos and stayed together, prayed together, and then we want to thank God that at 72, God chose to take her home.
We call her Big Mommy. She's our Big Mommy, and lived a beautiful life. She's beautiful. She's hardworking. She's very organized. She's progressive.
At the funeral service held at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Ekpoma, East and West local government area of Edo State, the officiating minister, Pastor Godwin Ahola, said, God created man to live forever on earth, but man's disobedience brought about sin and death. He said the only way to overcome death is to live a selfless and Christ-like life. He added that Christians do not die, but sleep until the resurrection day. He also gave a testimony that Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa showed by her conduct that she lived a good and fulfilled life.
And also, in that case, let me send somebody to the world. That's why I say, God will leave you with your choice. God created man and put himself in man. Now, you God won't want anything in this life anymore. Your action will determine where you end. Mama, testimony. On Thursday, we had many people came on to testify about her. The Bible also said in the book of Revelation, it said they walk and they die and rest from their work, and their work do follow them. To where? Praise the name of the Lord.
The biography of late Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa was read out by one of her children, Mrs. Blessing Owede. Thereafter, the remains of late Mrs. Bosede Adagbasa was taken to the gravesite, where she was laid to her final resting place, with the children bidding her farewell.
Bosede had many suitors, but she never agreed to any of them. One of her aunties came to talk to her parents about a young police officer who was living in Warri, saying that he was interested in marrying her. Bosede requested to see him before agreeing to his advances.
Some of the children comment on the time and the kind life their mother lived. They described her as a prayerful and supportive woman, saying that she leaves a vacuum which no one will be able to fill.
She was someone that really impacted lives. You can see that we have so many people here today because they all have stories to tell about her. You know, the way she helped people, the way she was just like a mother hen, you know, a mother to so many.
She was a good person. She was humble. She was a virtuous woman. In fact, she was like an angel here on earth.
Because for a woman that gave birth to such children, she has fulfilled all righteousness. So we are here to rejoice over her.
The event thereafter shifted to the venue of a grand reception organized for dignitaries and guests. Best Orator reporting for BTV News.